Hey, I didn't forget this thing. All right, welcome everybody. Good to have you here today. Happy April Fool's Day. Yes, I'm prefacing that. I don't have any tricks for you today, but will show you some things that maybe you can pull on your coworkers if you're into that sort of thing. But yeah, welcome. Hope everybody's having a great day. And this is Civil Chat. So I don't know if the other Brian's going to join us today or not. I haven't heard from him yet, but he shows up a few minutes late on occasion. So hopefully Brian will show up. But in the meantime, you have Brian and you have Brian. So um, this is Civil Chat. If you've not joined us before, this is your chance to ask questions, and we do our best to answer them. So if you have any questions, make sure you put them in the Q&A section. That helps us to monitor what we have and haven't answered. The chat is available for everybody to use as well. So feel free to comment or correct or heckle or whatever it is you would like to do in the chat. Oh, Greg, please. Yeah. All right. Anyways, sorry, Greg put something in the chat that just kind of hit me hard. Hopefully it's April Fool's, but I don't think it is. So anyways, yeah. So I always like to show off something a little early or do something. And since
And
Civil
and
3,
when you show it off, you always like to share your screen first
right,
before you do that.
yeah, absolutely. Um, yeah, okay. So sorry. Um, so Civil 3D 2026 has not been released yet, but AutoCAD 2026 has been. And Civil 3D is built on top of AutoCAD. So I thought I would show off some of the features that I think are kind of cool in AutoCAD 2026 and get your all thoughts on it and see what you all think. So let me switch over to sharing.
And why Brian's doing that, just as a few thoughts. Since our last civil chat, we did get a new patch release, service pack, whatever you want to call it, for 25, 24, and 23 of Civil 3D. So since our last meeting, there has been several updates for all of an update for all the releases. So make sure you check that out. And also Navisworks and 3ds Max, if anybody cares, has been released with Autodesk also.
Excellent. Okay, so the first thing I'd like to show off with 2026 is the new block identifying thing. So let me go ahead and open up a drawing here. And I think this is pretty cool. Where did I put that? I put that here. There we go. So in this drawing, I have a bunch of blocks that I brought in and I exploded. So as you can see, it's just, a piece of text with a rectangle around it. This is just line work. Here we got this little planter. And again, they're just lines, but I've got lots and lots of copies of them. And what I would like to do is I would like to take this copied line work and replace them with blocks. All right, so if I come in here, and what I've done is I've created some that are at different scales and at different rotations. So you can see I rotated some of these groups of blocks up here. These ones I've scaled up a little bit. And these ones over here, I just kind of overlapped each other to see if that would cause any issues with other line work being in there. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to start off with, let's go with this camera. All right, so I'm going to select this. Actually, let me start off with this tree here. So I'm going to grab all the line work from this tree. And then on the Home tab, up on the ribbon, under Blocks, we have this option to search and convert. So I'm going to run search and convert. And what it's going to do is it's going to go find all of the symbols that look like what I have selected, basically copies of the line work, and identify them. So as you can see, it found all of these symbols here, but it did not find the ones that were at a different scale. So it doesn't detect different scales, but let me go ahead and cancel this here real quick. But what I will do is I'll do this with one of those smaller ones. So I'll grab a block, search and convert. And what you'll notice, it does find them at different rotations. So it doesn't identify two things that are different scales, but it does identify things at different rotations. And then what I can do is I can just simply click on convert. And I'm going to create a new block from this, and I will call this tree. No, sorry, I want to click on new block. And we'll call this tree, come on, tree one. I'll select convert. And now those are all blocks. And I think that's pretty cool.
That's
Right
pretty
now,
slick.
yeah. Now, if it has text in it, so this particular, all right, this is a mailbox. This is a symbol that we use for a mailbox. This is not intended to be an attribute. The X in the camera is intended to be an attribute. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to select my mailbox here. I'll do search and convert. Again, it finds all the different versions of it. I'll go ahead and click on convert. And then over here on the left-hand side, I can choose what I want to have done with the text. So right now, the include text variations is unchecked. So it's just going to be text in the block. Right? Again, I will create a new block. We'll call this one mailbox. And I'll convert it. And now it's a mailbox. Now for the camera, I'm going to do the same thing. Search and convert. But this time it is intended to be an attribute. So when I go convert it over there on the left-hand side, I'm going to choose include text variations. And now what it's going to do is it's going to take those text pieces that are part of the block of the line work that I selected and make them into attributes. And then if I want to, I can define the attribute tags, right? So I can say, hey, this is going to be the ID number. All right. Again, I'm going to make this new one. So this will be camera. Convert that. And now you can see when I double click on that piece of text, it brings up the enhanced attribute editor. If I do the same thing for the mailbox, it just brings up the block editor because it is not an attribute. All right, so I think that's pretty cool. Now, another thing that we can do here, so I'm just going to undo everything that I've done. In addition to search and convert, we have detect and convert. And I guess this might be AI. I don't know if this is considered AI or not. But what this is doing is it's searching the drawing for things that it thinks might be blocks.
For marketing purposes, it's 100% AI.
Right. Now this isn't going to find everything. I think there's like certain types of things that it's going to try to find as blocks. Right. So for example, it did not find my mailbox or my I don't remember what PB is. That might not be. Anyways, it didn't find these two, but it did find the trees. And so if I click on my little trees there, it found those. It found those. It found those. It didn't find the larger tree, interestingly enough. And it found half of the cameras. So it's not perfect, but it's there as an option. And from what I've read, this is kind of geared more towards architectural type blocks. So
we can now have no reason to not explode everything, so people the AI can find it and convert it back to a block.
Oh. You're killing me, Smalls.
Hey, it's April Fool's Day. You know,
That's
something
right,
we can say.
All right. So that's, I think, is pretty cool. And as Robert put into the chat, sure, vested architecture. Ignore the civil world as always. Yeah, but we're used to that.
Which is hilarious because so few architects are using AutoCAD anymore, but they still design features like that towards architectural stuff.
Right. Okay, so the other thing that I wanted to show up, so I'm going to go open up a drawing. This is going to be, let me go do it this way. So I'm going to open up, this is an Autodesk Docs drawing. So it's just a drawing I made, uploaded to one of the projects I have. And so what we have that's new, and I'm not sure how if I'm going to use this or not. But because when I open up this drawing was part of an Autodesk Docs project. If you go into your options on the Files tab, you'll notice at the very top here, we have Project Aware Settings. And basically what this will do, this will take some of your support files and make them project specific. So when you open up a drawing that's associated with this project, you get those specific support paths. Now, this particular project has not been set up for this yet. If I were to do this, if I come over here to this blocks drawing and I go into my options, you'll notice that I don't get that option up at the very top of my files. But if I go into the circle drawing and I go back into my options, you'll notice at the top we have the project aware settings are available. And again, that's because this drawing is saved in an Autodesk Docs project. It's on ACC in this case. So I'm going to click on setup, and it's going to walk you through the process. And what it's going to do is it's going to create another folder in your project that is there for the setting support files for this project. So I'm going to begin the project setup, click on setup project. It says set up your project with one click. That's the third click that's taken me to do this. And now here's the fourth click. All right. But now what you can see is we have project settings and my settings. And I don't know if we're going to be able to use this or not, because you'll notice one of the things that's included in here is tool palette file locations. And then under the classic AutoCAD settings, there's no tool palette file locations. And the way we have our tool palette set up is I'm changing when you click on one of the buttons, it changes your support file search path to look for the new location for the tool palettes you're interested in. So I'm not sure how this is going to work with our system, but it's here if you want. So the project settings, so if I mouse over this, so you can see project settings are stored in the Autodesk project and take precedence over my settings and classic AutoCAD settings. To be able to set this up, you have to have project administration access to modify it. So you have to be a project, you don't have to be an ACC admin, you just have to be an admin on this specific project to be able to change these. And then you have my settings, right? These are the ones that I like to use. And then you have the classic AutoCAD settings. So if I come over here to my tool palette, you can see there's the tool palette path. So in my routines, I'd have to be able to detect, is there a my settings option available? And if so, change it here. Because we wouldn't be using the tool palette file locations, I don't think, for project settings. Well, we might if we had like project specific blocks. We could create a tool palette for that particular project. And when you open up a drawing for that project, you would have that tool palette available. So I kind of like this idea. You could have, a project specific template. And when you hit the Q new button, it creates a new drawing based off of that project. And these settings are based off of whatever drawing you currently have current. Currently have current?
Yeah, I was gonna call you on that one, Brian.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. So in ACC, when you're creating templates to create your projects, can you have files? I can't remember in an ACC template. So like you could automatically have a folder with your palette specific things if you needed to. When you created that project in ACC, it would already be there.
I don't know. But what this does is, so this creates, so if I go into that project, so this is the project we're looking at. There we go, project files, and it creates a new folder up here called .autodesk.support. And then this would be where those support files would then go. And these are specific for this project. So I'm not sure if you can pre-populate a project template with the support files or not. But let's talk about some of the pros and cons now.
Yeah, it's interesting too. The follow-up question in the chat came up saying, you think this is going to work with Civil 3D projects? That's the question.
I don't know. I honestly don't know. And if I did know, I would have to tell you that I don't know, because I would be under NDA.
At least for another few days.
Right, at least until it comes out. So yeah, are these things going to be available in Civil 3D? I hope so. It makes sense that they would, since Civil 3D is really pushing the use of ACC and docs. I imagine it would be, but I don't know. Let's keep our fingers crossed, shall we? But let's talk about some of the pros and cons. So some of the pros is I can have different settings for each project, right? Which is kind of the goal with this. But the con is, I, as a CAD manager, if I make an update to our standards, how many projects do I have to update?
Yeah.
Right. So that's one of the big drawbacks I see. For us specifically, like I mentioned, we have some routines that swap out the the file search paths. I don't know how that's going to work in that yet. I haven't had a chance to test this yet. So that might also be another issue with doing it this way. Again, the advantage is really cool because, like I said, this particular project requires these blocks. Well, when I open up that drawing, the tool palette is there with those blocks on it already for me.
I could
I
even see
really
it
like
being
that idea.
beneficial for like the different types of work you do. If you're doing this
Yeah,
type of work, like a residential, city layout versus, I don't know, different types of blocks for the different types of work, I think could be kind of cool.
right. Yeah, exactly. But then you also have to train people on how to get those things up there. But that would be the project admin that would have to know how to do that, not necessarily each of the individual users.
Right. And then Adam just brought up a great point. So you could create your own standard and bridge it across to the projects. So when you create a project, create that bridge link, then your office standards could potentially be there. So you bridge
Yeah,
those subfolders.
yeah, that's a good question. I don't know if that. So again, they created this special Autodesk support folder. I imagine it's just a folder that you could do anything else with. So if you wanted to bridge this folder, you probably could.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, good thought, Adam. I like it. So yeah, I'd love to hear other folks' thoughts on what's new in AutoCAD. I also wanted to show off some fun things you can do. So I'm going to switch back over to Civil 3D.
And just as
Um,
a note here, we only have 2 questions. We're letting Brian go on. And if we don't get questions and he runs out of topics, we are literally just going to be covering April Fool's jokes. So
yeah, make sure get some questions in here, guys. So just do it. All right. Okay. So and I actually had somebody do that. Warren did this one to me while I was teaching. All right. So what you can do is y'all know about the snap and the grid, right? So it's these buttons down here. Right, you have your snap mode and then your grid. So if I right click on one of these, I can go into the snap settings. Actually, first, let me go ahead and turn it on. And when I'm drawing a line, you can see how my cursor, my crosshairs jump to this grid. And if I turn the grid on, you can see it's, attached to this grid. Now, what you can do is you can set this grid, go ahead and cancel out of that, turn the grid on, go into the snap settings, and you can set this value instead of 10, you could set it to something like, oh, I don't know, 10 million. Now, when you're mousing around, not a big deal. If you notice, my grid is turned on, but as long as I'm not in a command that's asking me to select a point, my crosshairs just do whatever. But as soon as I start a command, I start the line command, my crosshairs disappear. If you notice, my mouse is up here, and if my mouse is right there, now it's over here, and now it's down over here, but I have no crosshairs. Why? Well, if let me zoom out, I probably can't zoom out that far, right? Let me zoom out a lot. If I draw a line again, I've got a grid, a 10 million grid. But if I'm zoomed in really tight, then I'm inside of the grid and I don't see my crosshairs. So this is a kind of a fun one. It's simple to turn off. You can just uncheck the snap to grid, but then as soon as you turn it back on, it goes away. So that's a fun little practical joke that you can do on a coworker, perhaps. Again, it's harmless. It's not going to hurt anybody. They'll be like, "What the hell?" And then you come over and fix it for them.
I still think the best one for me is changing the command line text to be the same color as the command line background. That is still
Yeah,
my most fun one.
yeah. So if you go into your options on the display tab and then colors, you can change the colors of things. So right now you can see my command line background is this blue. So if I come down here to, where is it? It's one of these. I can't remember which one it is. Not crosshairs. It's oh, it's over here. I have to change context to the command line. There it is. So you have command line history background and then command line history text. Active prompt background, you can see is 150. Active prompt text, I can change that to also be color 150. And now when I'm typing, I don't see anything down the command line because the text is the same color as the command line. So that's a good one as well. Got to change that back or I'm gonna
I think the
kill
first
that
time
thing.
somebody got me with that way back when, it took me like 20 minutes to realize what had happened.
Yeah.
All right, so we do have 4 questions now. Did you want to jump into some of those
Yeah,
questions?
let's do a question.
All right, so the first question is, I'd like to take jobs on Upwork. What do you recommend as starting point for grading drainage and erosion protection design?
Is Upwork like a job board type of a thing? I'm not sure what Upwork is. So if you could put that in the chat or the quick Q&A, finally. Uh, but anyways, if you want to get started doing grading, drainage, and erosion design, um, are you talking about just learning what it is, how to do it in Civil 3D? Um, it's a freelance website, I think. Gotcha. Um, so I guess it depends. Are you looking to do it as an engineer or as a civil designer? If you're trying to figure out how to do it in Civil 3D, I think the best thing to do is just experience. Go find a set of plans that has some drainage or some grading on it, and then try to model it using the surface tools in Civil 3D. That's what I did to learn Civil 3D. I took an old project that I did in Land Desktop and I remodeled it in Civil 3D so I could learn how the tools work. Um, Nowadays, you can go to all sorts of different places to get training on these sorts of things. A lot of Autodesk resellers offer training programs. There's online videos that you can get access to. And like Eagle Point has the Pinnacle series. I have no idea what they would charge for an individual user for something like that. Um, you can go to YouTube. If you have specific questions, you could always ask them here. This is a pretty broad question, so it's not like something I can just like show you. Um, but yeah, it takes experience to know how these things are done, and you just got to get in there and do it, I think. You,
I always like to suggest, and I don't know if they have this particular topic, but I always suggest LinkedIn Learning because if you sign up for that, you can get up any of the software. I mean, any of the training programs. So my problem with some of the other things like Eagle or these other things is you're purchasing just that one topic. Heck, if you get a bug and you want to go learn how to play the guitar and you're in LinkedIn Learning, you can find a video for that too. So,
yeah.
all right,
Well,
and
hopefully that helps.
said thanks. So
Okay,
I'm guessing it
excellent.
did. All right, and a whole bunch of other chat came up on that one too. So. And then a question from Robert. When a multi-page PDF is attached in the drawing, is it possible to change which page is shown?
Not that I know of. So if you go extract a PDF, where would I have a PDF? Probably here somewhere.
Not to mention just a PDF, a multi-page PDF.
Right. Try this one. No, that's a single page.
Exactly.
Let's try this one. Full set. Again, one page. Um, that's an invoice. You shouldn't be seeing that. Let me just go make one here real quick. Let me do it this way. sample sheet sets, civil sample sheet set. And we'll just do some existing conditions here. Published PDF. It popped up on my other screen behind the Zoom stuff. And then we will let that plot. Like I said, I don't think there's a way to change which sheet it's using after the fact. But we can definitely take a look. If we can, I imagine would either be through the properties panel or through the XREF palette. Oh, that's a good idea. We should check in 26.
Now you just need a multi-sheet PDF. That's still the same problem.
Right. Isn't done yet. Published job in progress. Yeah, I don't think there's a way to do that. Once this PDF's done plotting, we'll circle back on this question, see if we can figure something out.
Cool. So then we have a question from Greg. We are
Okay.
struggling with connecting Civil 3D tables to Excel without using a third-party product. How do you suggest we go about this?
Use a third-party product. Yeah, there's no way that I'm aware of to export a Civil 3D table out to an Excel table. So let me open up a drawing.
So by list of people on here as well, what third-party product does everybody use to do this? So Ian put in Civil 3D to Excel Project Explorer.
Project Explorer might, but it doesn't take a table. It'll take the data, but it doesn't take the table. All right, so I got a drawing here that has points in it. All right, and we'll use this detention pond point group here. So I can go create a point table for the detention pond points. Right, and so I set this table up to display the way I want, and then how do I take this table out to Excel? And again, as far as I know, there's no way to take the table. A couple of things I can do. So if I go say edit the points for this group, I can then take all this data, select it all, right click, copy value to clipboard or copy to clipboard. I can't remember which one it is, and then paste that into Excel. So that'll get the data over there, but it won't necessarily take the table, the way the table is formatted, the information in the table, the order that it's in. Somebody mentioned Project Explorer.
Yeah, and Ian said he uses Project Explorer to create the table and then export that to Excel.
Okay. So if we come over here to points, there's the detention ponds, create a table. So you can quick report to file, quick report to AutoCAD table. So that creates an AutoCAD table. Right, and then you could take the AutoCAD table. Ooh, that's a lot of information in there. I wonder if this would update if we change something. If we go to point number 27, we give it a name. All right, so point 27 does not have a name here. Is it like a link table where you can update it? Update it? No, it's just a static table. So it is not dynamic to the data.
He says it can be done in one action via object sets.
Okay. But yeah, but again, it's not a Civil 3D table. This would be another way of getting the data out. Um, so yeah, there's no way that I'm aware of without using a third party to do that.
And
And
Greg
Ian
said the
said there's a,
AutoCAD. Greg said the AutoCAD table might be sufficient for him.
okay, excellent. So Ian said the Civil 3D to Excel um, oh, you just used Explorer, Project Explorer. I thought maybe that was the name of the third party app. So, all right. If you guys aren't using Project Explorer, there's a lot of cool stuff you can do in Project Explorer, and it is modeless, so you can throw this off on your second monitor or wherever you want, and then continue working in CAD while this is up and running for you. So, I highly recommend Project Explorer. I like it. All right, looks like my plot is done. Let's come back over here. We will attach a PDF now. Watch, it's just one page. All right, so I'm going to attach page one. Doesn't really matter where. I always forget that ZE in AutoCAD is not a command.
Nope.
I keep running
It
the
is a
zebra.
command. It's Zebra.
No, it's not the command. That's just the auto fill for if you start
Oh,
typing
true.
ZE.
True.
Right.
Yeah, it's the align your rendering images because that's such an ease fast command that everybody uses.
Right. All right. So here's the PDF. So if I select the PDF, so I would expect it to be visible down here somewhere. So that's the name of the reference, I think. And the reference name does not give us an option for the actual sheet itself. If I go into my properties, miscellaneous page number 1 is grayed out. So it does not look like that's an option to change it either. So I guess you could go into the PDF and reorder the pages. Would that work? I don't know. So yeah, it doesn't look like there's a way to change which sheet it references, unfortunately. So sorry about that, Robert.
Adam says in the VBA properties there it is technically in there. So it's in the comments as if you go to PDF underlay dot item name, which should reference the item, the PDF is you might be able to use a Lisp or VBA to change it.
Right.
So yes.
Yeah, that would not surprise me at all if you can do it using some sort of extra code. I would expect you could do it here since it does show us what page it is. Why not let us change which page it is?
Yeah. There's
You
things
know,
like that
somewhere.
you're always like, okay, why was that so hard programmatically to do? Because it's the value is literally right there. I want to know.
Select new path, maybe?
And then can you find that same?
Then can you choose a different page? No,
It
just
does not look
changes the
like that.
path, but you can't change which sheet it's referencing. Fascinating.
So Ian said he posted a link on the chat for everybody that maybe you should screen capture that and pull it up for the people on the recording. Did come in here and say that there has been 10 new Project Explorer training videos that went live recently. So you can go into those. And then Danny had posted a link to DotSoft saying that there is a free Excel to export to Excel download, table to Excel download in the App Store.
And you said this is free?
I didn't say it was free. Danny said it was free.
Danny said, you said Danny said it's free?
And then Greg followed up with, nope, that's no longer free.
Oh, okay. Yeah, looks like it's $245 or $495. It depends upon. So, but if you do it a lot, might be worth it.
Yeah. There are times when I look at add-ons like that, I'm like, oh no, I just don't want to do that. Then I'm like, if I use that 4 times a year, it's gonna save me the time. I'm just buying the damn thing.
Yeah. Danny said that there's some other free ones in the App Store. So go into the App Store, search for a convert Civil 3D table to Excel table type of a thing.
All right. So Sean has the question.
Okay.
Do you ever use the roadway intersection grading tool palette for grading an intersection? Or do you find it easier to create individual feature lines for each curb return and then create your own surface at the intersection and add it to your corridor 10?
Roadway intersection grading tool palette. I'm not familiar with that.
So I guess the first answer to that part of that question is no, he doesn't use it.
All right, let's switch back over to Civil 3D here. Would that be under the standard? Well, I have the corridor. I got the miscellaneous ones here. Would it be somewhere here under highways, maybe? No. So help me out here, Sean. Where do I find this amazing tool palette? Maybe I should switch to a out of the box profile. Maybe it'll show up here. Oh, that's horrible. Apparently, I was doing some screen capturing with this one last time. Then the tool palette. So I got basic lanes, shoulders, rail. Not seeing it.
His answer was it's in the tool palette.
Right, I'm looking at the tool palette. Median, shoulders, but these are the maybe it's in a different group.
Mike says it's within the intersection wizard, question mark.
We go to all palettes here. If you go parking tools, I'm not seeing anything with intersection yet. Highway intensity discharge. Yeah, I'm not seeing any intersection grading tool palette. There's parking tools. I don't think that's what you're referring to. Yeah. So I'm not sure what you're referring to, Sean.
Oh.
Could this be a custom tool palette that was created for your organization, perhaps? No, he says no. Yeah, but it might be part of the intersection wizard. So let me go take a look at that. All right, he said he will find it. Program files. I mean, yeah, let me switch back to my main profile here. No, I'm going to stay here.
While you're opening up the file, Mike had come out and said he does classic intersection workflows with vanilla corridors and assembly. Takes a bit of time, works well enough, but he does not use feature lines. And Corey said, yeah, he does the same.
Intersection, yeah, let's do this one here. Uh, so as far as like using the intersection tool, right? So on the ribbon, the home tab on the ribbon, we have intersections, create intersection. This works really, really good for simple intersections. If your intersection is complex in any way, shape, or form, it's not going to work well for that. All right, so if I snap to this intersection point, I can choose which one I want to be the primary road. Like that one. And you can walk through this. You have different options. So the primary road is a crowned, or they're all crowned. So I'll just create one here real quick, real simple. All right. And what it does is it creates your offset alignments with profiles automatically for you. It imports your sub-assemblies for you. And it helps automate this whole process. It did create a corridor. If you had an existing corridor, you could have it incorporated into that existing corridor if you wanted to. Let me open up a drawing where I've done some intersection design, and I'll show you the approach that I took. Let's see if I remember where I put this. It was under documents. Interesting. Okay, whatever. Apparently I'm missing something. So I just installed AutoCAD 2026 this morning. I wonder if that had anything to do with it. Okay, but so you can see I've got a bunch of roads in here with a bunch of intersections. I did use that intersection tool for some of these simpler intersections. For example, up here in these little courts, right? We had the primary road running through here, the secondary road, super simple intersection. Just had curb returns for the curb and gutter. Nothing special, nothing unique about these. And so I was able to use the intersection tool for these. When it came to, let's see, let's take a look at this one here, something like this, where we had a cross pan going across the intersection. So this is just a concrete pan for the water to flow down on both sides. There's a neck down for traffic calming. Yeah, there's no way I would try to use the intersection tools for something like this. This is just too complex. And so what I did is I just simply used feature lines. I did my corridor up to wherever I thought would be a standard section, including right through the middle of the road here, because that's just your standard 2% cross slope through here. And then everything else I did with my feature lines. And then I just pasted those into the corridor surface directly. I don't know if I would do that. Again, I might create individual surfaces and then paste surfaces together. But that's kind of the approach I took for this. You can see I did the same thing here. I was able to do more of the intersection with a corridor here, and then this area just didn't lend itself to a corridor, so I did it with feature lines. So hopefully that helps.
Well, that was fun. I just had Zoom crash on me.
I can still hear you.
It restarted. It shut off and reopened.
Oh. Well, that sucks.
So I assume you got that question done because I have no idea.
I think so.
Okay.
Just still don't know where the intersection tool palette is, but I've never heard of it before. So unless he's referring to like these intersection assemblies over here, maybe that's what he was referring to. These intersection assemblies. And if that's the case, these are just examples, in my opinion. They're not intended to be used for a real roadway design. They're just here as examples. So if I insert one of these into this drawing, it's just a simple road. And it's just, basic curb and gutter, basic lanes, daylight. Probably won't match your project. You'll need to adjust it to match your project. So maybe that's what Sean was referring to. Okay. So yeah, these are just, I like to think of these as just the samples. There's not much you can do with them. So if I right click on one of them, if I go to its properties, right, it's just an assembly with the everything already set up on it. What you can do is you can go create, maybe you're always working in a certain municipality where the cross sections follow these criteria. You can go create your own assembly and then take that assembly and add it to your own tool palette so it matches your design, the design criteria in your area. So that's my thoughts on this here. These are the sub-assemblies or the assemblies that that intersection tool uses by default. But when you do an intersection, you can choose you can choose the assemblies you want to use. So you can pre-create your assemblies for your intersections. And then when you create your intersection, you say, hey, I want this part of the intersection to use this assembly and this part of the intersection to use this assembly. So, all right. Are you still with us, Brian?
I jumped in and out 2 more times, so I'm completely lost in where you are. So
I think we're ready to move on.
you answered Mike's question.
No, I haven't gotten to Mike's question yet.
Okay.
I'm still doing intersections.
Yeah, I jumped in to say Mike's question and lost again. So cool. We'll do Mike's question. Does anyone use the extract feature lines from the corridor command? I stopped using this workflow because I keep having problems with the dynamic feature lines not updating with the corridor.
I don't use it very often. I think one area that I could see it being useful for would be like the Agora area of a interchange. All right, so if you got the ramp and the main road and the bridge going over, and you got that area between them, or it might work well in a situation like that to be able to do grading off of the feature lines rather than it doesn't lend itself to a corridor. But I haven't used it much. I'm going to reach out to the thousands and thousands of people watching this to see if anybody else has run into those issues. But I haven't run into any issues with it not updating either. So, Mike, you're saying that you extract the feature line, you update the corridor, and the feature line does not update with the corridor. Is that right, Mike? Just make sure I understand correctly. Correct. Okay, perfect. Yeah, I haven't encountered that issue myself. But unfortunately, so if that seems to be an issue, if it's something you can replicate, definitely send that on up to Autodesk Tech Support. That way they can get it fixed. But yeah, it's not something I'm aware of. All right.
Cool. Well, you have 10 minutes and one question left. And this one's
Okay.
from Owen. And that question is, we are seeing an issue when using pipe networks. If we draw a culvert with in section and pipe for the first in section shows correct, the second one shows it a rectangle. If you place the in section first, then come back and add the pipe, it works fine. Has anyone else seen this?
So, and I'm assuming you're talking about like a flared end section type of a thing. Yes.
Yes.
Okay. I'm not aware of it. Are you talking, is this in profile or just in general? In the plan view. Are these custom parts or are these out of the box parts? If they're custom parts, then I would take a look at those. If they're out of the box, then it sounds like it might be an issue with the software. I said out of the box. I've not seen that one before, Owen. Again, like I was saying earlier, if it's something you can replicate, send it on up to Autodesk so that they can fix it. I'm a big fan of sending things up to Autodesk. If Autodesk doesn't know it's broken, they can't fix it. So if you're complaining about a certain part of the program not working correctly, and they came up with the new version and it's still not working in that version, and you haven't told Autodesk, then you can't complain. Oh, all right, you can complain. I'm just going to make fun of you for complaining. So.
And Beverly did have a thought on that last one for the corridor line. She said, in the dialog where you extract the feature lines from the corridor, check the settings to make sure the link dynamically to corridor is checked.
Right. Yeah, that makes it a dynamically linked corridor or feature line. So what she's referring to, it's been a while since I've done this. See if I can grab the corridor and then not extract solids. The feature line from corridors. Right, feature line from corridor, that's where it is. And we'll do the edge of travel way on the left. So now I have a linked feature line. But in that dialog box, there is, where's that option? Have they changed it? Under settings, maybe? Yeah, there is. Under the settings, there's the dynamic link to corridor. Make sure that that's applied. I'm assuming it is.
Mike said, yes, he's had it checked. He's even tried doing it with it checked, unchecking it, rechecking it.
Yeah. I figured you probably had, Mike. I was more pointing that out for people that might not have known where that setting was. So.
Yep. Always nice to know because I didn't know about that setting.
So. All right. Do we have anything else?
That was all of the questions. So you have 5 minutes to show your best April Fool's joke for people to play in the last hour of the day on their coworkers.
So it's been a long time since I've done this one, and I think it's still the same. I was actually showed this. I had a group of people from the same office come in for some training, and I showed them how to do this. And the guy in the back corner, who's like the manager of this entire CAD team, he crosses his arm, he sits back and says, "And that's why I always lock my computer when I leave my office." Well, I happened to be over at their area, and I walked by this guy's office, and he wasn't in the office, and his computer was not locked. Right? So what you can do is you can go up to somebody's computer. You can do this even when they like turn their back. You just go up to the computer and do a Control-0, Control-9, Enter. And so what that does is that does a clean screen and it turns off the command line. So Control-0 does a clean screen, Control-9 turns off the command line. And the best part about this is he comes back into the office and he sits down and he's working in CAD for probably 5 minutes before he realizes what I'd done. It was awesome.
And that's why I never say I lock my crap so people can't screw with me.
Right. And it's an easy fix. It's just a Control-0 and Control-9 again. But yeah, it was very, very good. The guy has a good sense of humor, so I knew it would be all right with him.
There was a guy who every time he left his computer, I would go into all of his internet browsers and start browsing for Hello Kitty stuff and then close out of it. So all of a sudden he started getting all of these ads on Chrome and Edge and any browser he used for all this Hello Kitty crap. Because I literally would just open up like search Hello Kitty in 10 different pages, close them all and come back. And then he also was using Gmail. So I would put white text on a white background in the bottom of an email I sent him because Gmail scans your emails, and I just kept putting Hello Kitty in there. I'd do like Hello Kitty pajamas or something like that. And all of a sudden, like I'd been doing this to him for like a month and a half, and finally he's like, "Dude, this is just so weird. I am just all of a sudden getting all these Hello Kitty freaking ads all of a sudden."
Oh, that's awesome. I like that. That was great.
I mean,
Um,
it was a buildup. It took me a good month or two, or at least before he finally said something.
right,
Finally, what's
right.
up with Hello Kitty crap?
But yeah, thinking back on that class, I miss teaching.
Yeah,
You know, having just who knows who come in for a class. I miss doing that. Pretty much the only teaching I do nowadays is, either here on Civil Chat or um, just for my company. So,
I do also like the prank that if you are in an office environment, you're not in the whole work from here environment, um, hooking up a mouse to somebody's computer, like putting a little dongle, a Bluetooth, not a Bluetooth, but a little like Logitech wireless mouse on the back of their computer, and then randomly moving the mouse when they're there, and they just keep freaking out or randomly clicking the button and like, what is going on?
all right.
There used to be a website called Think Geek, got bought out and then it went under. But you could actually, they called it they had two things on there, the Annoyatron. One of them was the little thing you could hide in someone's desk and it'd make a random sound. And people, what was that sound? And just random times, random intervals make a sound. But then they had the Annoyatron 2, which was literally a little USB thing you plugged in the back of their computer that would randomly type in letters if they were typing, randomly move the mouse, and randomly click.
Oh, wow. Yeah, no. Yeah. A good office one prank too is to take a paper clip and make a bunch of photocopies of it, and then take that paper and put it on the input tray. Where's that paper clip? I keep getting it photo putting a paper clip whenever I make a copy.
That's funny.
I don't think people copy as much anymore. Primarily just printing nowadays.
Yeah, pretty much.
But yeah, somebody had mentioned the text. So if you notice when I go create a piece of text here, I'm text. I'm just doing the way to. Let me change my. Why is it so? Hang on. Let me create a new drawing here. It'll be easier. All right. So there's the text that shows up when you go to create a piece of text. That's the mtext jig string. Or is it the MT jig string? MT jig string. You can set this to whatever you want. Hello.
Forgot about that one.
All right. So now when I create a piece of text, it says hello. You can play around with that one. One I did as a CAD manager. Everybody came into the office, and down here next to the layout tab, it said Brian needs a raise. That was a fun one. So, well, I am out of practical jokes within CAD. Messing with autocorrect in Microsoft Word is fun. Yeah, so on my wife and I share somehow our settings on our phones get connected, and she had, for the business she was running, she did lots of little short, things that would fill in a whole bunch of text for her, and one of them was PI. And so whenever I tried to type in about pi, it would replace it with some long piece of text, and I was totally lost on that. I'm like, why is it doing this? She's like, oh, I did that. Sorry.
Nice, nice. Love that one. Well, we're at the bottom of the hour.
So thank you everybody for showing up. Come back again next month. Hopefully we'll have Civil 3D 2026 and we can see if those cool AutoCAD features are included in there or not. And until then, y'all have a great day and we'll see you soon. Bye.
Thanks, everyone.